Hey, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
And I am Groot.
And we are all Groot. I can't do the voice as well.
We're looking at Guardians of the Galaxy, and we're the rambling reviewers.
Yes, we are. So yeah, it's been a little while since we first saw this. It's ideal to record like the same day, but whatever. It's memorable enough. I think we kind of get the gist of it.
Yep.
This was a good movie.
I'd say it was one of the best movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far.
Yeah, it's up there. It's, I've got higher marks for Iron Man 3 in my opinion. But this it had style to it. They changed up your formula a little bit there without being so strange that, they wouldn't make box office success, which I'm sure is their primary concern.
I think the biggest change between this one and the other Marvel Cinematic Universe stories was that there was more fantastical elements, as strange as it sounds, considering
right,
this is
because it's not being set in New York or an ordinary place. It's like, all the time weirdness.
So you can have like things that aren't possible on Earth because it's in space.
Yep. In space.
Where the other ones, they tried to be like, oh yeah, this is science. It's just super advanced science that allows me to turn into a green rage monster.
Well, technically they have super advanced science in space too, but yeah, you can do more the different settings. Is what you're saying?
I'm just saying that those in space, that's more hand wavy. Is like it's all super advanced science, whereas just this one aspect of super advanced science.
Yeah, I could see that. It also. It's team-based from the get-go. Like, Avengers was team-based, but only after we spent several movies introducing all the previous people.
Yeah.
This is, like, to start with.
It starts off, it's a team-based movie, but the team pretty much gets together with only one movie. You don't have to have other movies building up these characters. Mm-hmm. Which, it's pretty cool that they had those.
It worked well for Avengers, but I'm glad we didn't retread that exact same formula.
Oh, precisely.
It would have taken a while, and it wouldn't have worked so well. These are people that really need to be a team, right? They also didn't do standard superhero origin story, which has to explain how the guy got his powers, and it takes like an hour before he, puts on the bat suit or the spider suit or something.
Yeah, because most of these people, they technically don't have powers.
Right, or they have whatever abilities are essential to them. They have those at the beginning of the movie, except for the part where he's a kid. But, by the time he's an adult, it's, here's your basic set of abilities, we're just going to run with it. Thank you.
And the abilities he does show aren't really... super special superpowers or anything.
No,
They're just like, he has a mask, he has jet boots, he has a gun.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gamora is a trained assassin. You don't need to go into... you get a bit of that, like, okay, she's one of the last survivors of her people, and she was trained by Thanos, who gets to speak in this movie, but we'll get to that. So this movie begins in possibly the most awkward manner possible with Mom dying of cancer. Happy movie!
Yeah. I get it. Like, that's a fine idea to start a movie. Maybe a little incongruous with it being an action flick in space and fun and all this, but, like, I get it. They want to establish an emotional foundation.
Although, I do have to say that it's a little better than Peter's backstory in the comics.
What was that?
Pretty much the same. His dad came down from space, banged Peter's mom, then he left to go back to space, and then later these lizard aliens came and tried to kill Peter and his mom because Peter's dad is the ruler of a space empire. Wow.
So then Peter went to space after they tried to kill him?
Yeah, I admittedly know very little. One of the reasons that this film that Guardians of the Galaxy was picked was because it's one of the least known Marvel properties. Yeah. I'm dead serious.
And we should have mentioned that too, because I'm pretty geeky. I could tell you, a whole bunch of random facts about various characters, but I had never heard of the Guardians of the Galaxy until they announced the movie.
Same here.
And I had to, go on Wikipedia and, who are these people? Apparently they guard... I kept thinking of the freaking Guardians from DC, on Oa and all this stuff. Yeah, no, not those people.
But they're dicks in the comics these days, so...
whatever.
Yeah, weird thing is, the version of the Guardians you saw wasn't even the first version. I mean... You know how the various incarnations of the Justice League have, there's some themes that go to them. Like, there's usually a Flash, a Green Lantern, a Superman, a Batman.
Yeah.
Whatever. You can recognize certain themes. Yeah, not even closely resembling it. It was a group of people from the year 3000 when mankind had spread out all over the solar system and had adapted, so they got superpowers on the different planets. Like, this really strong guy was from Jupiter. What I assume is like a city ship floating above Jupiter, because that's the only explanation that makes any sort of sense, because
he just
fucking Jupiter.
He just floats around in the core.
An Iceman from Pluto, a girl with fire powers from Mercury.
I almost feel like that should be flipped. In order to live on Mercury, you need ice powers. But whatever. I guess it works either way when you think about it.
Yeah, but and they're conquered by the lizard aliens I mentioned earlier, known as the Badoon. Their goal is to free the solar system and their enslaved brethren from the Badoon. The Badoon never made it into this film, but
no, almost none of that made it. We didn't have anybody from Mercury or Pluto, so yeah, this is all completely different.
Yeah, like the team eventually changed over the years, I'm assuming, because literally the only things I've read are like the anthology of how the Guardians of the Galaxy was formed, and a very recent comic book which involves the characters seen in this movie.
Yeah. So the writers had some room to maneuver there, which is good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we went through the cancer scene, which was sad.
Yeah. Then Peter freaks out and runs outside. And
he gets picked up by aliens.
Kidnapped by aliens almost instantly.
Wow, I was having a bad day already, guys.
This is the second worst day of my life.
This is same day as whatever.
No, I'm just going like this is the second worst day. Wait, your mom dies and there's an alien who kidnaps you. This is the second worst day.
I see.
What?
Then
it fast forwards like about 15 or 20 or so many years.
Yeah.
To this alien world where this man lands in a spaceship. And he brings out this cool flashlight-looking thingy that he has to smack a few times. He used future, I like that. And he starts shining it around. And you can see, like, these holograms of people running around, showing what happened here long time ago. Back when this was a thriving civilization, you think, oh, this is going to be a sweet and tender moment. And he pulls out the tape deck, and you realize it's an adult version of Peter. He still has the tape deck that he was listening to at the start of the film. He puts on his headphones, and he starts blaring some classic rock music.
Yeah. That was good as his individual character moment, and also good for the soundtrack of the film in general.
Yeah, a lot of films, they just tend to stick in, like, pop music songs or recent songs.
Or general, orchestral music. And now it's the exciting part of the movie, which they had some of that in here.
Yeah.
But they also had classics.
Yeah, but then, he's literally dancing through these ruins and skipping and jumping using jet boosters. He even at one point grabs a lizard rat monster and starts singing into it. Like it's a microphone.
Yeah.
Because the song he's listening to is Come Get Your Love. This is the music that the title appears on.
Yeah, see? That little quirkiness is good.
This movie rocks.
See, in any other movie, it'd be like a shot of like a big badass spaceship. Guardians of the Galaxy, we are awesome. And like, that's okay, but this was different and fun.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, the whole movie is like that. And just a little out of step with what you thought, and that's nice. It gives it some flavor.
So he eventually makes his way to what he's looking for, this orb in the middle of this room, and he steals it. And then suddenly this guy shows up, and he's got guns! I mean, there's other guys too, and they have guns.
Mm-hmm.
And he announces, I'm Peter Quill, but you may know me by my other name, Star-Lord. Who?
Yeah, that's another subversion on the formula. Normally everyone knows, like, they don't know who Peter Parker is, but they know Spider-Man. There he is. It's what? Who are you? He's just some guy? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he escapes them with the orb of...
Orbiness. They just called it the orb, didn't they?
We're going to call it the orb because later they start referring to it as one of the...
Infinity Gems. But since there are other Infinity Gems,
I'm just going to keep referring to it as the orb.
The purple one.
I'm going to refer to it as the orb because it sounds vaguely mysterious.
Yes.
So, he gets a call from his old boss / father figure /
I was wondering if what's his name, Yondu, if Yondu actually was his dad, and then right near the end they reveal no, he's not, he's just some guy who picked him up and was supposed to deliver him to his dad and didn't bother, and you're that makes more sense.
But his dad was a dick,
and his dad was, well, it says Yondu, I can't trust his word, but
Interesting
so that's
fact. Before this incarnation of the Guardians of the Galaxy was the mainstream comics version of it, Yondu was a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. In the comics, not in this one. In this one, he's just an old grizzled bastard.
Right, yeah, I noticed.
But
yeah, I think he works better as an outsider, off the top of my head. But obviously, I've only seen the one movie.
yeah, so anyways...
Then we meet Rocket and Groot.
No. We go to this spaceship. The what's it called? The Dark Aether? Dark Aster.
Okay.
Where we meet up with the bad guy of the film, Ronan, the Accuser.
Who is not the same guy as the guy from Stargate Atlantis.
Yeah.
Make that very clear in your head. It was like, Ronan, wait, what?
It's Ronan Dex.
Yeah.
But Ronan is like, the Xandarians announced a peace treaty between the Kree Empire and themselves. I am against this treaty because I am generic revenge villain who's...
He had a little bit of flavor there, because I liked his little speech where he was saying, they call me terrorist, and so forth.
And they were right!
No. But, I'm merely avenging my father and his father and his father, and I was like, okay, here's a man with a sense of family history, as opposed to, I'm evil, I want to conquer because I feel like it. Which is something, I'll tell you though, I was not clear on the geopolitics of this film, and I use the word geo in an archaic sense of it, you know what I mean. It's not a
The
globe.
political sense?
In the political, someone's gonna be pedantic and be like, they're in space, there's no geo in there. Whatever.
Astropolitical?
The astropolitics, there we go. Yeah, it was a little clear.
The astropolitical scape of the movie.
Yeah, okay, so here's what I got from this. There is, the Kree, and they've been at war with, I guess, the Xandarians?
The Xandarians and the Nova Corps.
Xandarians and the Nova Corps. Now, apparently, there is a planet named Xandar.
Yeah.
And the people in charge of it are called the Nova Corps.
Yeah, it's actually known as the Nova Empire.
The Nova Empire. See, that was confusing, because you thought maybe the Nova Corps was in charge of a planet called Nova, or something.
Well, I actually liked that because it subverts the normal.
It does. It does subvert.
Like I like it when aliens aren't named after their home planet.
Yeah.
Like the Klingons are from the planet Konos. The Daleks are from Skaro.
Yeah.
The Sauri are
true.
from Thessia.
But maybe
humans are from Earth.
Maybe we could have given it a
little
little more
clear.
detail, because then I wasn't clear that the Xandarians had signed a peace treaty with who? Someone else?
The Kree.
The Kree. That was unclear. I thought they signed a peace treaty with some third side or something. Because when Ronan's attacking, he's like blowing up a bunch of stuff off screen. And then the Nova Prime lady gets on the phone, the video phone, with some other guy, and she's like, We're in an alliance with you. Why don't you help us? And the guy's like, oh, we'd rather not bother. And who's this other guy? Is he a Kree?
Yeah, that's a Kree.
So if he's a Kree, then...
They didn't form an alliance. They just signed a peace treaty stating that we're not going to try to kill each other anymore.
Right.
They don't... Back home, they don't care. I mean, they just want the killing to stop, but there's a lot of people who are still really angry about the peace treaty. So they don't really care one way or another what Ronan does. There's probably an element of popular support for... for Ronan. Probably an element of popular support for Ronan. Similarly, there was an episode of Babylon 5 where, actually the first episode where Sheridan took command of the station. Yes, Sheridan is the best captain of B5. And the reason he's sent there is because there's a Minbari warship, the Dragati, that did not surrender to the humans at the Battle of the Line and has instead been dicking around for the last 10 years, blowing up human crap.
And how did the Minbari feel about that?
Well, a lot of them deeply respect the Dragati and view them as heroes.
Uh-huh.
Even though the Great... Yeah, there's a reason why the Minbari are viewed as dickbags. Aside from the whole attempted genocide thing. Actually, that includes the attempted genocide.
It included the attempted genocide, which didn't make sense, frankly, but okay, moving on.
Yeah. But yeah, so the Minbari weren't doing anything about it because they viewed these guys as heroes who were still fighting the good fight, even against the wishes of the Great Council.
I don't know. It feels weird to me. I can get the idea that we signed a treaty, but then some people on our side said, screw it, I'm not obeying the treaty. But you'd think Nova Corps would just kind of be like, well, you know what, Kree? if you're not going to keep your own people in line, we'll just start killing you again. Because that's part of the deal. Maybe if there had been another scene or two to establish the political complexity of it, I would have been more clear on what was going on and why they couldn't just, okay, well, one of our people is going to go kill some Kree now. We don't care about him. Like, how about retaliation?
Okay, yeah, that's...
And perhaps more importantly is, I presume Ronan is, powerful, but does not have the entire Kree army behind him, right? He shows up at Xanagar with one ship.
Xandar.
Xanagar is Hawkman, isn't it?
No, that's Thanagar.
Thanagar. I'm intelligent. Okay.
To be fair, we do deal with a lot of science fiction planets.
Yeah.
I mean, I named like 3 just off the top of my head from 3 different franchises.
So he shows up at Xangar with one ship.
It's a pretty big ship.
It's a pretty big ship.
And I don't understand this ship, honestly. It's got these rotating sections that twirl around, and apparently the necrofighters are launched from between those rotating sections.
Yeah, no, I'll go with that. Just weird architecture or something.
You know what? Say what you will about other bad guys. I know how their ships frickin' work. I don't even know what the deal was.
Okay, but anyway, he only has this one ship. It's big, sure, but that's like one Star Destroyer versus the whole fleet of them, in my comparison, yeah? So, if previously Xandar, dang it, Xandar was fighting the Kree, and they were apparently on equal enough terms that they formed a treaty rather than one of them curb-stomping the other, then Xandar must have a pretty... I said it.
You said
Xandar. Then Xandar must have a pretty...
Just say the Nova Corps.
The Nova Corps must have a pretty big, badass military. And apparently this one Kree ship, which is like, I'm guessing, surely less than half of their normal strength, is enough to take on their whole Nova Corps empire? Because they're talking about, all these people are dying off screen. I'm like... How are you fighting this war to begin with if a small section of the Kree power is enough to overpower you?
Well, at the same time, he's working with Thanos, so he might have gotten upgrades and badass weapons and stuff.
Well, then that should have been explained. That should have been, oh, Thanos, thank you for the death gun, but now, we need more help or something.
His relation with Thanos should have been better explained.
That should have been better explained. They eventually got into that when he... meets with Thanos in...
Okay, let's get
go in order? All right, we'll go in order.
Okay, so... Yeah, they're on Xandar, and we're introduced to the 2 best characters in the entire freaking film, Rocket and Groot.
They make quite an odd couple, but it works.
Rocket is semi-anthropomorphic raccoon, who walks... He's basically a raccoon that walks on his hind legs and talks. And prefers to wield guns that are bigger than he is. Which is almost all guns, but still, he works it well. And Groot, who is a living tree. He's what happened if Ents decided to murder people.
And smile when they do it.
Yeah. Groot is my favorite character in the movie, just because he's so alien and different than pretty much anything else we've seen.
Yeah, you can do a whole... It's very easy to make aliens where, not to criticize Gamora much here, but, you make a human, you give him a different skin color, and we're done. Now, you make someone who is not just, okay, he's made of wood and he's a tree and has the powers there, but also he's mentally different. He never seems to catch on with everyone else's plan. He can't speak, he just says, I am Groot. He's like a moron, but also really helpful and friendly, and like
he's like it's like he has things. It's like he has Asperger's or autism or something, where he can like understand certain concepts really well, but then others he's like, hey, I have a leaf growing out of my shoulder. He's trying to eat the leaf coming out of his shoulder.
Yeah,
I really like him. He's just so alien in mindset.
Mm-hmm. And he's a great partner with Rocket, because Rocket's so crazy and violent, and Groot's just like, okay, I'll go along with that, and makes him so much more powerful as a team, even though Groot's not all that violent to begin with, I think.
For the most part, we'll get
when it comes to it, like when it's necessary, he'll do it. But I think if Groot didn't have Rocket, he'd be standing around a forest somewhere, like munching leaves, like whatever. I'll just eat some leaves. Do.
I'm Groot, bitch. I'm gonna eat the leaves.
Pretty much. Like, what other motivations does he have? He just, I'm friends with Rocket. Okay, cool.
But sometimes he doesn't really need that, you know?
Yeah.
You can have a character based around that old concept. And you
Right,
did.
right. That's he's unique that way. They meant it in a good way.
So you see Peter trying to sell the orb to this, not collector, not the collector, but...
A collector.
A collector.
Antiques dealer.
Yeah, unfortunately, then the collector grabs him and tries to use him to construct a new Reaper at the center of the galaxy.
No.
Wrong collectors?
Yep.
Well, anyways, yeah, so... And it's also revealed that he's welching on Yondu?
Yondu. Is welching a verb? I don't know. What does welching mean?
I thought it meant... Whatever. He's trying to take the bounty for this thing from Yondu.
He's cheating on Yondu. I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't sound
No,
right.
that doesn't sound right. Wait, he is...
It's space, so whatever.
It's space.
So, and once that guy finds out... Well, no, he finds out that Ronan is also after this orb, so the mini collector dude says, "No, get out. I don't want anything to do with you."
Name you mini collector.
Well, we already have a character named the Collector.
Yeah, I know.
So Peter's like, "Hey, come back here!" And then Gamora beats him up and steals the orb, leading to this pretty cool running fight where he and Gamora are chasing after each other, grabbing the orb multiple times.
And Rocket and Groot get involved.
Yeah, they try to capture him because, well, Yondu realizes, hey, he tried to steal my shit. I'm putting a bounty on his head.
Have you noticed this plot is a little bit complicated? But yeah.
And then reality ensues because, well, there's 4 people brawling in a public space with guns and knives, so the police arrest all of them.
Yeah. And then they go to prison.
They go to the kiln,
kiln.
which is a nice little significant name. A kiln is where you forge things.
Huh.
No, wait.
A forge is where you forge things,
Well,
but it's a similar thing that involves lots of heat. That's what you mean.
It finishes clay products into their...
That's true.
And clay is something that you need to mold. Like you need to mold this team. See? See? Okay.
Tricky symbols. I like this one bit from the trailer where they showed this bit of they're walking in one at a time and the guards are like, this one's Peter Quill and this one is Groot and so forth. And because they'd shown that in the trailer, I thought this was the whole team. Peter, Rocket, Gamora, and Groot. So when Drax shows up later... I just was taking him as some random prison bully for a little bit there.
No, I'd seen a different version of the trailer where Drax was included in that lineup.
Oh.
And then they changed it so that... Or they never had him as part of that lineup.
I think they filmed that just for the trailer.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't part of that scene. But so I was seeing, I was like, who's this random guy? And eventually it's like, oh, wait, he's part of the main cast all of a sudden. It's nice to be, surprised there.
So they go into the prison, and everyone hates Gamora. The
less
popular sequel to Everybody Loves Raymond.
Everyone hates Gamora because she is a daughter of Thanos, who is... What do we call it? He's not the god of death, but he's like a godlike being who is obsessed with death.
Thanos the Mad Titan is his official title.
Thanos the Mad Titan.
Yeah. Thanos is the closest thing you get in this universe to Darkseid. He is extremely powerful. He is extremely intelligent. He is extremely dangerous.
And he wants some orbs.
Yep, he wants him some orbs. Now, in the comics, this is because he is in love with the concept of death.
Which is anthropomorphized in the comics.
Yeah. There's actually 2 origins for Deadpool in the comics. The first is that he has a superhuman healing factor similar to Wolverine's. The other is that Deadpool is also in love with death, so Thanos cursed him to have super healing so that he'll never meet death and Thanos can have her all to himself. That's how much in love with death he is.
I'm guessing, a lot of people have met death if you think about it, but I really didn't want Deadpool to be on the list. Okay.
Well, he doesn't... Deadpool loves death
right.
as well,
yeah,
so,
yeah,
a lot of people...
That's different.
A lot of people run from death.
They're known for that. I'm just thinking of Death from Sandman now, who's my favorite death ever.
Oh, yeah, she's my favorite death.
Oh, yeah. Put that on a t-shirt.
So, yeah, Thanos, in the comics, wants the Infinity Stone so he can kill everything and make death love him. Though, if he kills absolutely everything,
Death can take a vacation. Yay, I love you.
No, that means that Death's out of a job until some new life can evolve.
Just be waiting around for a while then.
Yeah, so anyways. But, yeah. So they're in prison, and...
Well, we're talking about Gamora's origin, why everyone hates her. And she is a daughter of Thanos. That confused me for a while. I'm like, in what way did Thanos have a wife? Did he... Okay, so he adopted... He apparently, like, killed her family and then adopted her and made her his assassin, didn't he?
Yeah.
In what way did he expect that the girl whose family he had killed would ever be loyal to him?
He's an alien?
Yeah, and an idiot, maybe.
Well, he's Thanos. You know, anyone who goes up against him is going to die, so...
Yeah, but even so, when you're going to put your trust in somebody, how about the one who doesn't have a revenge scheme against you?
Which is nobody in the universe, because it's Thanos.
Well, maybe. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So everyone hates her, but it turns out she's not working for him anymore. She wanted the orb for herself to keep it away from Thanos.
And to sell so she can make some coin. And live out her life somewhere else. Whatever. Which is where we meet Drax, the Destroyer. See, Gamora was hired out to Ronin by Thanos. Yeah, this movie is complex.
It is.
And Drax's whole family was slaughtered by Ronin. So Drax wants to kill Gamora to get at Ronin.
Yep.
But Peter stops him because I don't know why.
No, that was simple enough. He pointed out that Gamora has betrayed Ronin, so she's not on Ronin and Thanos. She's betrayed them all, so she's not a bad person anymore. And B, if you let her live, that we can arrange this scheme to go find Ronin himself.
So Ronin will come to take care of her. And one thing, and here's where we encounter probably the best thing about Drax. I've actually heard like people with autism go, "Yeah, I really could identify with Drax because he is incapable of spotting metaphors or similes."
Pretty much, yeah.
Which is pretty funny. Peter makes the traditional, thumb across the throat to mean you're going to cut his throat. When you meet Ronin, you can... Why would I put my thumb on his throat?
Which goes back to us saying about Groot have an alien mindset. Drax also had an alien mindset. Thank you.
Which is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
And he goes, no. It means it's a metaphor. It means you're gonna cut his throat. Why would I slice his throat? I would cut his head clean off.
Yeah. And later on, Rocket's explaining his species is entirely literal. You make a metaphor, it'll just go right over his head. Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are far too quick.
I would catch it. I want that on a poster.
Yeah.
I want that on a poster. And set to one of those beautiful nature seats just because of how silly it would be. So, yeah. Eventually, Rocket finds out that the orb that Peter had on him was worth a shitload of money, and that if he does not give Peter to Yondu... I'm trying to keep a lot of names in my head
I know,
straight.
We're normally bad with names, so we're working double time today.
Yeah. He'll get a part of the reward of something like 15 billion units or something, and really, units... credits at least is sort of science fiction. But unit just sounds... Unit is what I put when I don't know what other unit of measurements to put. Anyways, so Rocket devises a cunning plan to break out. They'll need 3 things. 1, a guard's personal computer which is strapped to his arm. 2, this one prisoner's false leg. We'll get to that in a bit, because it's a pretty funny scene. And 3, a battery from an alarm box on the wall. And Groot hears Rocket say this, and during this whole scene where Rocket is explaining how that's the one thing they need most, but it's the thing they need to get last after everything else, otherwise all the alarms will start going off. You can see Groot in the background ripping the panel off of the wall and starting to grab the battery and yanking it from the wall as hard as he can. And several other prisoners are just stopping and staring at him, including Drax.
Yeah, it was funny.
So that's the thing we need to do last. Boink.
And then the alarm starts. Groot turns to Rocket, holds out the battery, and he has the happiest smile on his face, like, I did good! Rocket stares at him and says, okay, or we could grab that part first and improvise. And then he gives a facepalm, because...
Raccoon facepalm for the win. So then they run around. I did feel like the guards needed more of a distinct and imposing uniform. It looked like they were just, it just wasn't visually clear enough as it should have been.
Correct.
But there was a neat little bit of like, okay, we're getting the Gamora goes to get the computer in the guy's arm, and then Quill just sits down with the prisoner. The prisoner's like, you need my what? It's like, oh yeah, we can have conversations.
Oh, no.
I forgot.
That was in the middle of another scene that I liked, where Groot is fending off these flying robots, and Drax throws a machine gun over to Rocket, and it's an absolutely massive machine gun. Like the heavy weapons guy from Team Fortress would feel comfortable carrying this weapon around. Rocket is just slinging this around like crazy. He grabs it, looks at it, you can almost hear him drooling and going, oh, yeah. Then he grabs onto Groot's head and starts spinning around the room, firing the machine gun and screaming insanely while Groot smashes down other robots. It's an orgy of carnage, and then suddenly it cuts off to this much quieter scene where Peter is sitting in a room, and the guy says, "You want my what?" Very nicely done little scene.
That was fun. Eventually, they get the stuff they need. They barricade themselves in the guard tower,
and Rocket's and Peter says, okay, I got the guy's leg. What do you need it for? Wait, you actually got that? I was kidding. I didn't need that. What? I thought it would be funny. What was he like? Was he hopping around on one leg?
I had to give him 30,000 units for that. Whatever. I'd like to know how they have banking service in the middle of this prison, but whatever. He found a way to give the guy
Apparently
some units.
Weapons aren't allowed, but credit cards are, so...
Maybe some prisons do that, for all I know. They have a little prison store. People can send you cash.
So Rocket deactivates all the gravity on the space station, which, like, oh yeah, this is a space station. They can do that.
That was a little odd, though, in the moment, because these guards, which had slightly better uniforms, rush in at the base, and they've got, like, bazookas, and they're pointing them up at the guard tower, where our heroes are. And the guy's counting down, okay, in 5 seconds we fire, 3, 2, 1, and then Rocket turns off the gravity. Now, realistically, everyone doesn't fly upward, right? They just sort of gently float. You can still fire a bazooka when you gently float. Like, those first couple of seconds, they were still pointed towards the tower. Like, you could shoot them. You could... Okay, never mind. Now you can't shoot them anymore. But whatever.
And he made those robot drones that were shooting at them earlier clamp onto the guard tower and use it as a makeshift spaceship to fly to where they were keeping all of their prison stuff.
Yeah. That was cool. And they got their stuff and they flew away.
In the Mulatto, which is the name of Peter's ship. And I liked the Mulatto. A lot of thrusters and stuff coming out the sides, which I do really like. Other ships that do that include Vipers from Battlestar Galactica and Star Furies from Babylon 5.
Yeah, there's a technical term for that, but I forgot the name.
RCS?
Is that what that stands for?
Maybe. Reaction Control Thrusters.
Yeah, I guess there's another one, though. Whatever. They were testing it in real-life airplanes. I saw this one video, and it was really weird, but cool. It just kept turning in ways you didn't expect. So, anyway, the next... Well, we hang around on the Mulatto for a bit, and we head to... Nowhere. Knowhere.
Yeah, which is the head. It's... Nowhere isn't even a planet. It's a giant... desiccated head floating in space, but it's like the size of a moon.
That's no moon, it's a head.
It's really cool.
It was cool.
And the basis of the basis of what's going on here and why this place is inhabited and why there's a city inside of here, all of the nervous tissue and brain and muscle and stuff, it's being mined by this corporation, which I thought was like, holy cow, this is really weird and cool.
Yeah, that is cool. It would be neat if we'd known anything previously about the Celestials, and you could have gotten this mystic sense of like, that is the head of that thing we've heard of and stuff. For someone who doesn't know anything about them, it might seem sort of like, I'll take this as a planet, but it's weirdly shaped. You know what I mean? It doesn't quite have significance.
Yeah.
But still, much better than standard to hang out at a spaceport.
Yeah, it's better than the Mos Eisley ripoffs that we usually see.
Yeah. Though the original Mos Eisley was very unique for its time. But then, people have ripped that off.
Oh, yeah. Certainly. So, and here's where the actual collector lives.
The actual collector.
Well, yes, as
yeah,
opposed to mini
the
collector.
one that we actually call the collector.
So, yeah, and they offer, hey... No. Actually, first they get into a fight in the bar because...
Yeah, and this is a neat point for characterization, because you think of Rocket as just the hyper-violent little guy, which, gee, there's been more than one of those now I think of it. Belcar from Order of the Stick, anybody?
And we love them for
We love them. We love Belcar, too. Anyway, you think of him as just the hyper-violent guy, and then he reveals that he feels bad about being a freak. There's no one else...
Rocket reveals this, not Belcar.
No, Belcar is a sexy, shoeless god of death. But,
God of War.
Oh, God of War, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
But Rocket, he has no one else of his species. He was kind of made from scratch or done whatever. They did weird things to him. And you're like, oh, he has some depth to him. That's interesting. And he gets into a fight with Drax, who had called him vermin or something. And then Drax goes off into something incredibly stupid by calling Ronan, because he's just that antsy for a revenge scheme.
TV Tropes pointed it out the best. He was so drunk and so angry that he drunk dialed the bad guy in order to call him out.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine this scene happened on the Dark Aster. Curses, we have lost track of the sphere. Now there is nowhere we know of where it is. We're receiving a collect call. Do you want to accept it? Fine, whatever. What is it? Hey you. Fuck you. I'm gonna kick your ass. I got the orb, and I got the sexy green whore lady of yours. Well, come on, I'm at nowhere, and I got the orb. Come and get it, you bastard. Click. Brr. Okay, guys, we're going to nowhere.
Oh,
that is the only way I can think of how that conversation went.
I think it'd be a little more on the threatening side, but whatever. The part where you went to the sexy green whore. I don't know if Drax is the whoring type. He's more the who can I kill now type. He's very much focused on his revenge. And what I like is, think of when else in fiction, apart from Moby Dick maybe, do you see someone's revenge quest actually being really stupid for the first half of the movie? Like, it's... hey, okay, we'll get revenge. We'll call him up here. And then he gets to have a one-on-one fight and just gets pwned. And it's like, oh, I actually endangered all of my friends. Wow, maybe this is not a great idea.
But before that, the rest of the group goes to see the Collector. And the Collector actually reveals some pretty important information about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Before the universe began, there were 6 singularities. These, once the Big Bang happened, were coalesced into gems of power, or objects of power, or whatever. We've already seen 2 of them. The first was the cube from Marvel's The Avengers, the thing that they were going after that unlocked the wormhole.
Didn't that show up earlier? That showed up in Captain America: First Avenger.
Yeah, but it played a bigger role there.
Yeah.
And it actually also showed up in the first Thor movie.
Right.
At the very end, post-credit scene. But anyways, and the second one we saw also appeared in Thor 2. It was the Aether thing.
Yeah, that was not a good movie.
Yeah, it was not. See a review of that.
Yeah, the big shrug, I called it. All right.
Yeah, so the Aether was the second of the Infinity Stones, and the Orb is the third.
So how much you want to bet as of Avengers 3, it's all about the Infinity Stones? I'm guessing that's the point.
No bet.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Thanos wants these Infinity Stones. And they show some pretty cool scenes of, people using the stones. This stone, for example, reacts to organic matter. Most organic matter. We'll see more on that later. And they show one of the Celestials from the Marvel Comics universe using the stone to completely destroy a planet.
Hey!
Well, it's pretty cool if you know about the Celestials, and it's like, oh, this is a Celestial taking place in a live-action movie.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Those are cool. They are cool.
And he's explaining all this stuff. And then the fact that he treats his assistants like crap, bites the Collector in the ass.
You know, I got the impression they were slaves more so than assistants, because that girl could have just quit, apparently, if she wasn't a slave, right?
Yeah. So anyways, this slave girl grabs the stone, and then she fucking explodes. And blows up the Collector's house.
Right, and then this gets weird, because she grabs the stone, blows up, but the stone itself is okay, and they put it back in the orb, and then we leave, but it's shown the Collector is still alive, being the half-god he is, as far as I'm aware. And we still would like to get 40 billion credits, as far as I know, so why don't we wait till the smoke clears, go back in, and get our freaking money? Nobody seemed to think of that. It was like, well, there was an explosion, therefore, there's nothing else we can do.
Yeah, that is a pretty big plot hole.
Yeah, and now granted, after a couple minutes, Ronan shows up, but it wasn't clear why they didn't, you know, in the 30 seconds they had at least, Collector, give us your money. And then maybe you could be like, no, my credit card just blew up. Crap, that girl had all my wallets. Oh, well, never mind then.
But, so, yeah, then Ronan shows up with a bunch of Necrocraft, as well as Nebula, who's played by Karen Gillian. Also, by the way, Gamora, played by the same chick who played Uhura in the Star Trek reboot, and Neytiri in the movie Avatar.
Wow.
Not The Last Airbender, though. That
No.
was... Thank God, I would be forced to murder people. So, yeah. That's interesting.
Lots of sci-fi. Cool.
And there's a big fight, and Gamora and Peter get stranded outside of nowhere. So
Well, not really. Gamora goes out there and gets her ship gets shot, and then Peter puts on his mask and ejects so he can go out to her and put the mask on her to save her life. In the meantime, contacts Yondu and says where he is, so Yondu will pick him up so that they both survive, which was pretty clever.
yeah,
I was a little unclear as to how long a human can survive in space without the oxygen mask, but I was like, okay, I'll just accept he can survive for 30 seconds there. You know?
I was more concerned about how that was a mask. The rest of him was not covered up. I mean, you can see his hair moving outside of the mask. Why is his blood not boiling out through his scalp?
I don't know. I'm sure I have heard the physics of being outside in space are different than most people expect. But yeah, it is a dangerous thing, at least in the long run, or the 10 seconds run. You stop. You start wishing you had more oxygen after a very short period of time.
We never stop wishing we had more oxygen, like ever.
Well, whatever. So they got picked up by Yondu, who you're never quite sure if he's going to kill Quill or if he just wants to stand around and joke with him, because he does that for a while. And Quill says, hey, if you help us out, we can take on Ronan, and we will give you the orb, and it's worth a whole lot of money. That you can totally sell it to that guy whom we didn't sell it to a moment ago.
Yeah,
Because reasons.
Then we go back to, but we go back to Nowhere first, where Groot fishes Drax out of this pool of neural fluid, or something, that we saw earlier, that Ronan threw Drax into after curb stomping him. And Rocket actually says one of the best things I've heard in the films, in general, fiction in general.
Wow.
That I really think a lot of anime writers and directors need to listen to this sentence. Oh, boo-hoo! My family got killed! Yeah, just because your family died doesn't mean the rest of us have to die too! Okay, I'm not doing it right. I got the quote wrong, but the basic thing is, just because you want to get revenge on this guy doesn't mean you...
Right, I get it. Don't be stupid in your revenge schemes, please.
Which is something that a lot of anime characters and directors and writers need to learn.
I suppose.
Yeah, it's just a trope that I've run into way too much in anime. I must have revenge, even if I must go to ridiculously stupid extremes to get it.
Yeah, so the dose of reality was nice. And then we talked to Yondu a bit, but then we form our... Oh, wait. Oh, they go out to rescue them from Yondu, at which point they've already negotiated Yondu not to kill them. Like, hey, we're gonna blow up your ship in 5 seconds if you don't turn them over. And Peter's like, no, wait, I got on the radio. Oh, hey, Peter, how you doing?
That's almost literally the dialogue that they used.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. And then Peter starts yelling at Rocket. Why did you only give them 5 seconds? That wasn't enough time to get me off the ship.
But then I would have shot them and then maybe rescue you. How would you rescue me if you just blew up the ship I was on? Details, whatever.
It's an important detail.
So then they have the little team building scene where they're sitting around in a circle and just like, are we gonna go up against Ronan? One by one, they agree we're gonna work with this 12% of a plan that Quill has. And finally, Rocket stands up with the rest of them. Okay,
and even
fine.
Live shades it.
We're all standing. You like it? We're all standing up now? Here we are. Okay, good.
We're 5 losers standing in a circle.
Yes. So there's lots of little moments like that in this movie that lampshade or otherwise twist how the formula would normally go. And that does a lot for its likability.
Oh, yeah.
So then comes the big badass plan. So at this point, Ronan has
The Infinity
has
Stone.
the Infinity Stone, has the orb, and he had this previous scene talking to Thanos, and Thanos is.
We actually got to hear Thanos speak for the first time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he's supposed to be the big bad for the whole series. So this is like film 9, 12,
Something like that,
and
yeah.
this is the first time that the bad guy speaks.
Which is cool. I liked the scenery he is present in.
Oh yeah,
But to see him as, roughly the same size and shape as Ronan, kind of brought him down a couple pegs in my mind. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, before, like in Avengers, you had Thanos' spokesperson show up. And Thanos himself was off-screen in a really creepy way, right? He shows up at the end credits, but, like, even then he doesn't speak, and he seems uber powerful. And now it's sort of like, oh, he's a guy you can talk to and make deals with and betray at your whim, apparently. Because Ronan totally betrays him, and Thanos is like, whatever, shrug. And on one hand, it does show Thanos is powerful. On the other hand, it shows, gee, Thanos, apparently you're not that scary if someone can betray you and they don't suffer... Well, he does suffer consequences, but not from Thanos directly,
Well, at the time he had the Infinity Stone kind of fused to him, and he was super powered by that. So.
Right, but that is kind of the point, though. Is apparently you can trick Thanos and grab the stone that he wanted. Like, oh, huh. I guess if Ronan was a more impressive guy, then that would be more okay. He's slightly generic, so again, it didn't take Thanos like completely down. Like, he's still cool, but he was neat as a more godlike figure and less of a here's another bad guy who happens to be on the throne over here.
Yep.
But anyway, so Ronan's like, hey, I've got the stone. Oh, you gave myself superpowers. And apparently it only works if you're on the surface of a planet. Because that becomes the whole point of this next scene, is getting to the surface of that planet in his big ship. So they do that.
I think it's more to do with reacting with biomass.
I guess.
So the surface would have more biomass than...
Well, yeah, but even so, it's clearly acting at a range, because it doesn't just kill the biomass you're touching right now. It kills the biomass within a is it like an MD, like a Dr. Device effect, sort of, where it kills the things that are next to the other things that are next to the other things?
That's what I got out of that.
Yeah, so apparently you need to be that close in order to start your chain reaction.
Yeah.
So what you really need is an ODST, and you could have skipped that entire scene. Just give him the Infinity Stone, and boom, kill everything. All right, we're done.
Yay.
I did like, though, that so the Ronan ship is coming down, and all the Nova Corps ships show up, and they make this energy net and like physically hold him back. I thought that's kind of cool. It's not like, standard dogfighting stuff, which they had some of that.
Yeah.
There was also something else that was different.
And then Yondu's pirates show up, and they help take down the Necrocraft and prevent them from kamikazing into the city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was confused, though, with this whole city. If this is the most important planet in the Empire, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the Empire's been at war with the Kree, in a very big sort of war, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And their primary city does not seem militaristic at all.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but this is what gave me the impression that
Xandar.
Dang it, Xandar. I'm incredible. Xandar. Novacor. I thought maybe they were a small regional power that had made an alliance with, somebody else in a larger war. Because it looks like they're just, your local Switzerland or something. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like we have been at war for years and years and all this stuff. But whatever.
Maybe it was low-level war.
Maybe it was, yeah.
If
we could have seen it, show me where the war is happening. Show me these people are dying somewhere, and that would have established Ronan better for one thing, and it would have made everything feel more coherent. But they fight, and we board Ronan's ship, and we hang around for a second with fireflies. I like fireflies, but there was a small token of, hey, you guys know you're in a hurry, right? You're going to walk around for fireflies for 30 seconds? Okay, sure, we'll just keep stopping the kamikazes while you're at it. But oh well.
And then, Drax starts talking about his friends.
Yeah, that was a nice
Peter,
moment.
You are my friend.
Yeah.
Rodent, you are my friend. This big stupid tree is my friend. This green whore is... Can we just go? And then Nebula shows up and says, well, Gamora, you stupid... Kaboom! And then she drops over nearly dead because Drax just shot her with a rocket launcher. Mind you, this is just after the green whore comment. Nobody insults my friends.
Yeah, that was good. And then she gets back up again anyway, so they can have the, more traditional assassin versus assassin fight scene.
And then Drax and Peter just start fighting all these books. And once they defeat all of those, a bunch of other ones run down the hallway. And then Groot shoots out his arm, impales 20 of them, and starts slamming them into the walls in a scene that lasts about 10 seconds. It goes on, just long enough to become uncomfortable, and then it goes back to funny again. That's the time for it to stop, and then he retracts his arm. All these people fall over dead, and he looks back I did good?
Yeah. His dopiest smile the whole movie right there. Yeah, that was cool. So then we go fight Ronan. And finally we get a shot at him, and it looks like he's dead, but I'm thinking, hey, where's his corpse if you killed him? And get just what he comes back later. And then Groot does a heroic sacrifice.
Sort of.
He forms, semi-sacrifice. He forms a
dome
pod
of
around
trees around them to help absorb the impact as the ship is going down.
And Rocket asks, why are you doing this? You'll die. And he says, we are Groot. And that was cool.
Cool. Now his vocabulary is up to 5 words. I am Groot. We are.
R. Yeah, R is different from am. I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm beginning to see why you have trouble keeping words.
No, you know what? I can be good with words, and somehow I keep screwing up during these videos.
So anyways, then they're on the planet's surface, and suddenly Ronan shows up, and he's got I still have the stone, bitches. And here's the best part. No, okay, not the best part, but still a part that I really liked because of how absolutely silly this is, and how it shows this is just like a comic book where you can have the stupidest things be totally...
there are types of stupidity normal to comic books. This is even weird for comic books. Because comic books will be like, oh, you could fall 100 stories off a building into water and you're okay because physics don't count. And they're not often, I am now going to dance to win the world.
So, Peter starts singing the song Ooh Child and dancing, and Ronan is so befuddled that his entire scheme from this movie, basically thus far, is I'm going to get to Xandar and murder everyone on it.
And he totally could do that right now.
So he's raising the hammer to unleash the power of the stone, and he stops and lowers the hammer normally because he's just so confused at what Peter is doing. He's like, what?
What are you doing? I'm distracting you.
I'm distracting you, turd burglar.
Yeah.
And then Drax shoots the super duper mega cannon at the hammer and frees the Infinity Stone, which Peter then grabs, and then things get weird.
He goes into another plane of existence.
And you know that things are really strange when I finish a scene that involves singing 60s and 70s music
and dancing to distract the world-destroying monster, and finish that by saying, here's where it gets weird.
Yeah, just this epic, multi-dimensional moment thing where he's using up the power of the stone, and then his friends, give a hand so they can share the power so he doesn't die.
And Gamora says, give me your hand, which somehow reminds him of his mother saying, give me your hand at the beginning of the movie.
That's not directly related, but okay. It could be better, but okay.
Yeah.
I'm just glad they called back to that at all, really. It had an impact on him. And
they survive.
Yeah, it was a little sad that Groot couldn't be a part of that crew to help with the
Someone on TV Tropes did point out that technically Rocket was holding one of Groot's twigs, and Groot's twig did survive, so Groot was part of it.
Wow, alright, there's that.
I do wish he was, in his big form, though.
Yeah.
Because Big Groot is awesome.
So, Baby Groot was awesome, too, right at the end there.
Yeah. So, so Ronan is dead because we zapped him with the energy, and everyone's alive, and we stuck the stone inside of a sphere thingy.
The orb. An orb, anyway. You have two of them now.
Yeah. The orb inside of a sphere thingy. And we're like, oh, okay. Well, Ronan, don't open this. Don't open this. As soon as he said that, I knew that's not the orb.
Well, he said that to Yondu, not Ronan. You give it to Ronan's corpse. You do it too. So he gave it to Yondu. Don't open that. Yeah, okay, but I'll sell it. And then it turns out he'd switched it behind his back. Classic thief thing.
Oh, and there's this earlier cool scene where Yondu was shot down and he's being attacked by the Ronan's forces. And he has this cool weapon where he has this cybernetic plate on his forehead. And he can control this red hot spike telepathically with it, and it just shoots through all these bad guys in 10 seconds, and kills them all.
Yeah. I was under the impression he actually controlled it via whistling, and it was actually sound based and not telepathic based.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, this whole movie, he's been, cool. Anytime he's been threatening people, he pulls open his coat so that the spike is, being revealed.
Yeah, and he'll whistle a bit, and it'll just, drift up to their neck,
and earlier in the movie, he talked to Mini Collector Dude, and he's like, I see you have excellent taste, What were you planning to do to this? Well, I was planning on taking these, and I was planning on sticking them on my dashboards and placing them all in the row, all nice I can't tell if you are serious or kidding. Sir, I assure you he is not kidding. He will do that. And then earlier in the fight, Yondu, you look at Yondu's, you get to see Yondu's dashboard, and he has a bunch of those little mini figurines sitting all in a row.
I also like
and after he was shot down, he dug through the wreckage, and he pulled out one of the figurines, and he brushes it off. He looks really sad for a moment. At the end of the movie, they look inside. Yondu opens up the sphere that he received, and inside is a troll doll. And two things. One, Yondu loves it, and he's going to put that on his dashboard. Two, Peter Quill just trolled Yondu.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. Oh, it's a stealth pun. Yeah, I also like Yondu for having such a distinctive accent, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not until that happens you realize, oh, hey, everyone in every movie ever has generic American accent thing. Because, of course, producers they want to do that so everyone can understand, the main characters. They're like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, why don't I have a thick something else accent? So
then they
happened.
They turned the sphere over to the Nova Corps, who rebuilt the mulatto.
Yeah, okay. Question time again. Remember how the Nova Corps nearly got blown up by this one ship?
And the one ship was allied with Thanos, the guy who's...
Well, actually, he had betrayed Thanos at that point.
Yeah, but earlier he was allied with Thanos, and if Thanos was the one who was providing him with advanced weaponry and armies and stuff...
Yeah, Thanos is still going to want the stone, whether or not Ronan is working for him. So, what's to stop Thanos from showing up with two ships, and he just pwns Nova Corps and takes away their freaking Infinity Stone? In what way is Nova Corps a secure location? We just had a whole battle here, and you guys totally did not hold your own. I mean, you tried, but honestly, you needed us. And we're not going to be here all the time.
Pirates to help you.
Yeah,
and you still lost. The ship may burst through the shield anyway.
Yeah. I just randomly note, by the way, Peter and Gamora had a romance. You may note how much impact that had on us that we didn't even mention it till now.
It wasn't even a romance, really. It was more they got a little close, but then they didn't really, which I did like. You know, it wasn't like we've known each other for 6 hours. Kiss me, you fool.
Well, the thing was, we had known each other for 6 hours. I will risk my life to save you, though. So that's why I pegged it as romance in my head. Like,
well, yeah, but you could say the same thing about Rocket and Groot when they decided to attack a pirate ship with a gun.
Maybe I just assume the lead girl has to be in romance because that's how movies work most of the time, right?
So, you know, they left it a little open. Maybe they can get together, but
it was just pretty,
won't.
You know, superficial, but like whatever. There was a couple funny lines, mainly when he describes the plot of Footloose as a legend. And we forgot to mention Guy, who is totally not the transporter Chief O'Brien, but kind of looks like him.
Yeah, this guy played a minor role. He was a cop.
He was funny though. They made their minor roles funny in this movie.
Yeah. By the way, that guy, not played by the Chief O'Brien guy because I did look that up. He is, however, played by the guy who voiced Wreck-It Ralph.
All right.
So yeah. Also, that guy also tells them, look, we've cleared all your records, so, you know, you're not going back to prison. But at the same time, if you break any more laws, I will have to arrest you. So the others are trying to ask questions like loopholes. Look, what if someone has something and I want it more than they do? Well, that's theft and that's against the law. No, you don't understand. I want it more than them. It's mine. It's still against the law. No, you don't understand. Okay, Rocket, you're going to the ship now.
Yeah.
And then Drax walks up to him and looms over him and says, what if someone is annoying and I just decide to remove their spine? Well, that would be murder, the worst possible crime. So yeah, you'd have to go to prison. And Drax just looks in the air like, huh, that's new. I did not know that. And he walks to the ship. Peter goes, yeah, I'll try to keep them in line. And Peter receives the last gift from his mother, which he got just before she died, but never opened it till now because reasons.
It was too hard for him emotionally or something. I totally thought, because they reference it halfway through the movie, I totally thought it was going to be some sort of death ray, like his father's death ray maybe, and he would end up using it to kill the bad guy.
Which, actually, in the comic series, his mom did have a death ray from his father.
Oh, see how cliche that is? I've never read the comics, but I just came up with that idea.
Yeah, but it turns out okay, the whole movie, Peter's been listening to these these songs from the 60s and 70s on a tape called Awesome Mix Volume 1 that his mom made him before she died. And it's a pretty touching thing. So when he opens it up, it's revealed that not only the reason why he was so excited when people called him Star-Lord is because his mom gave him that name. But the second thing inside the box is Awesome Mix Volume 2.
Yeah, these little character moments that subvert your expectations. You thought it would be actually important to the plot. No, it's just important to him personally. That's it.
And they fly off into the end credits while Ain't No Mountain High Enough plays.
Yeah.
And then after the credits, we have a cameo by Howard the Duck.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I actually didn't see that. I had to leave the theater, but that's a thing.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that Lucas allowed them to do that.
Just Lucas's stuff is all owned by Disney now, and so is Marvel, so they can do whatever the hell they want.
You think Disney's gonna release original Star Wars? That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that's kind of been in the news for.
Has it really?
Yeah, they're releasing a new trilogy.
No. The non-special edition of episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Oh.
Because Lucas was so stubborn about that, freaking Congress could not get it out of him. The National Film Registry wanted 1977 original Star Wars, and he said, no, special edition only. And they were like, no, it's a historical value. And he's like, I don't care. But yeah, obviously.
Which I can kind of understand where he's coming from. He was able to put stuff in that he wanted to put in originally.
But you should make both editions available. When Spielberg redid E.T., he released a box with 2 DVDs in it, original and special. Thank you, Spielberg, for learning from the mistakes of Lucas. I'm not that mad about it, but anyway.
Yeah, so
So we had Guardians of the Galaxy, and now we got this misfit crew gonna do misfit things and probably save the world or something, make some money while they're at it.
Yep. Okay, so thoughts on the movie. The soundtrack was, as we mentioned earlier, excellent. It was a lot of really classic rock and roll classic rock and pop songs from the 60s and 70s. Possibly earlier, I'm not really sure. The one that everyone remembers is Blue Suede's Hooked on a Feeling. The Ooga Chaka one.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's become kind of the unofficial theme song of the movie.
Yay.
Or sort of official. I don't know.
Whatever. There's a good song.
Yeah. So all the songs were really classic songs, which I did like, and they gave a reason for it. It was because all the songs you heard were playing on Peter's little Walkman.
Yeah.
Or on his tape deck on his spaceship. So there was a reason for these songs, and it wasn't just because the sound guy happened to like these songs.
So that would have been okay, but it's nicer to have a reason, yeah.
Yeah. The characters were surprisingly well developed for, given that it was just one movie. And you didn't
we had to meet a bunch of characters, but yeah, they had different sides of them.
Which I've seen a lot worse done in movies.
Yeah, I have. Now, I mean, even so, like, whatever, I'm gonna nitpick, but like when I see Tony Stark, there's a few more layers of personality. Just like every freaking sentence he utters, that's Peter Quill is good, but not quite there for some reason. I don't even know exactly.
Well, you're
what's
trying
different.
to compare him to Tony Stark.
Yeah, I know it's true, but you know what I'm saying. That's why I cited Iron Man 3 earlier as one of my favorites of the Marvel-verse. But this was still good. Let's call it. It was not Thor 2, or Thor 1 for that matter.
Yeah, Thor 1 was okay. That's
1,
the best I can say about
Thor
it.
2 is even less okay. It was
yeah.
Yeah. Shruggy McShrug.
Yeah, so it was definitely... I liked it a lot. I personally think it's my favorite entry. There was just so much environment in there. There was so many weird things that I really liked it.
Keep playing with the tropes. I like them playing with the tropes. Changing it up. Being creative.
The aliens were actually, alien.
Yeah, or at least two of them, especially.
Okay, well...
But yeah,
it's more than most of them.
That's more than most of these movies.
As Nash once put it, part of the reason the Daleks were so popular was because the alien races seen on TV up to that time had been a guy painted green with a paper plate stapled to his forehead.
Pretty much.
Yeah, these guys were actually alien in mindset. It wasn't just, I have 5 tentacles, but I'm really a human inside.
Yeah, that happens a lot. And some good action and so forth. They did have a sort of standard Marvel ending. Someone pointed this out to me that, like, they have a lot of movies end with some sort of sky battle. It was Guardians of the Galaxy, it was Avengers, it was
Thor 2,
Thor
Captain
2,
America 2,
Winter Soldier. They're like, hey, yeah, guys, I know you want to do your special effects extravaganza, but you're doing it a little too many times now.
Iron Man 3 didn't have a sky battle.
It had a battle with flying robots. So.
Yeah, but they were very close to the ground.
But they were close to the ground.
And the action was mostly focused on the ground action.
That's true.
Same with Iron Man 2 and...
Not Iron Man 1, though. They had the whole icing problem thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, it was a very good movie. I advise seeing it. I'm going to buy it when it comes out on DVD.
Yeah, and then I'll come over and watch the special features, because I'm cheap.
Yes, you are.
At least sometimes.
Okay, well, do we have anything else?
I think that's about it.
Okay, well, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
We're signing off.
Ooga chaka, ooga chaka.